So in this video, I'm going to talk about 10 things you have to know before moving to Toronto. And if you think that the first one might be the weather, well, I'm not going to talk about that because you already know it's cold in Toronto. Anyways, I'm going to talk about 10 things you need to know before you get here. Let's get into that right now. Hello everyone, my name is Nasira Jamal and I am with Team Jamal right here in the Greater Toronto area. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about working, living, playing, eating, sleeping, and even 10 things you really need to know before you get here, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn your notification on so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Honestly, I get calls every single day for people that are moving or relocating to the Toronto area and I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about moving to the Toronto area, then make sure you give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email. Heck, you can even send a pigeon carrier. However you want to get a hold of me, I've got your back when you're moving into the Greater Toronto area. So it's cold here in Canada, eh? Remember, I told you I wasn't going to talk about the weather, but I do want to talk about the word "a." This is something that we're notorious for. Most of us will add that to every other sentence that we speak. And if you don't, you might get arrested. Well, actually, I'm just kidding. So that's not number one. Number one is I'm not talking about weather, but I am talking about what you need to have or be prepared for in dealing with our weather. And the first thing when you get here, I would suggest purchasing is a snowblower and a couple of snow shovels. You're going to need them when the first winter hits because we do get a lot of snow. And for a lot of Canadians, what we do is if we're not going to buy a snowblower, there are actually services here, people that provide services during the winter months, and you can get a contract from typically it's October or November till about the end of March. And it's to get a company that comes in and does the snow plowing for you. And they have, usually it's, a rule if there's 2 inches of snow on the driveway or outside or if it snows, you will get their services. They'll show up, they'll come in the morning, they'll come in the afternoon, or if it's snowing all day, sometimes you even find them coming 3 times a day. But that is a contract that you would be buying into. The thing I want to point out here is because I've used these services, I've lived in Canada for almost 45 years. That will tell you kind of how old I am, but I've lived here for a long time and I have used services that I did buy a contract for. Couple of winters we didn't have a lot of snow, but the thing with this is more like insurance. If it does snow, you've got the service. If it doesn't, then it is what it is, right? So that is a great service, and typically the people that are providing this service also provide landscaping services in the summer. So number two is that you will need to take care of the weeds. We have a lot of weeds here, and in the summer you'll notice that for those lawns that aren't being taken care of, you'll see a lot of dandelions and a lot of other crab weeds and things like this. So you may be a gardener or you may feel that you can handle taking care of it, and that's fine if you love doing that. I personally don't. So I do recommend looking into perhaps using the same company because they may have a deal if you do winter and summer with them. These landscaping companies are great for providing those services. Plus, you will be able to do a lot of research to find out which one's the best. Your realtor can also help you getting a referral in making sure that you hire the right company. We do have rules here in terms of maintaining weed or controlling the weeds. We're not allowed to use certain products with pesticides. So you want to make sure that if you are going to handle it yourself, that you're not using products that are illegal. So that's number two. Number three is that you have to know that if you're coming here, we're taxed pretty heavily, and maybe compared to other countries, we may be in the middle range, but between 15 and 40% is what you can expect for taxes. And that is just overall, and it will be dependent on what you're earning. But this is something that sometimes people that are coming from areas that are from a lower tax bracket, can be a sticker shocker for them. And knowing that will allow you to budget accordingly depending on what your lifestyle is, what you're trying to really accomplish when you get here, where you're living, what neighborhood, what towns even. Some areas will be cheaper than others. And especially, I just want to note here, property taxes. You want to make sure that the neighborhood you're picking, you're aware that certain neighborhoods will be taxed higher for property. So, and sometimes it's not even that you have a lot of land, it's just that the taxing system is higher in certain areas. So it's great to know about that. So number 4, let's talk about the free healthcare now. We do have free healthcare, but it's not all free. So I want to point out the details about this. When you get here, you will, if you have your OHIP card or you go to Service Ontario and you get all the forms done to get the OHIP card, your medical visits are free, whether you're going to a doctor or the hospital. But what's not free is any kind of prescriptions that you get or dental and eye checkups. Those are not free. So as much as we do have medical here, you may want to consider looking at some other top-ups that you can buy extra if your company doesn't cover it. So you may be working for a company that covers portion of your eye prescriptions and your dental work, but that will be dependent on the the actual benefit package that you have. So again, something to look into if you're working for a company, maybe ask the questions as to how much is covered. Typically speaking, it's not 100% of prescriptions. Usually it's an 80-20 or 70-30, as well as for dental. So you want to just make sure you know what you're covered for if you do have your employer covering that in your benefit package. Number 5, let's talk about tipping. So if you're going into restaurants using salon services, barbershops, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, the customary amount is about 20%. And though I'm not saying that you have to tip, it is customary here. Like I have quite a few clients that have come from overseas that in some of their countries, they have said that it's actually frowned upon to tip over there. So when you're coming to Toronto, just to know that this is something that is part of our customs. And it may be something that's new to you. Also note that if you're going into a restaurant with a larger group, a lot of times they will include that in your bill. And so that's, again, just something to note when you're going out to eat. Number 6. Now, this is something that's very different. And I thought this was, when I found out, I was really surprised, is cursing is not allowed in our Toronto parks. And we have over 1,500 parks. And there is a fine. You can be fined upwards of $200 if you are caught cursing in a public park. So, if you perhaps curse in a different language, you might get away with it. But there are people or police that are walking around, and you could potentially be fined. So again, something to note, it may be very different in your country. It may not even be something that you even thought about, but here it is actually the law. Number 7. Now, this is for those of you who are traveling with families with young children. What you want to know is we have obviously schools and school systems, private schools, but I want to really talk about daycare in this portion, because for a lot of people that are coming here that have jobs, have children under the age of 6 that need daycare, we have licensed daycare and unlicensed daycare. And what does this mean? Licensed daycare are governed by ministry guidelines. So you have daycare centers as well as home childcare programs, which are licensed. And so if you have young children and you're looking at either putting them into a daycare center or a home childcare program, and you're looking for a licensed program, then you want to ensure that you search for it. In our home childcare programs here, there's family daycare services, there's We Watch, there's a number of other smaller ones as well. We also have unlicensed childcare, which would be more like your, babysitters that are just basically doing babysitting in their neighborhood, and you'll see advertisings for them in the grocery stores or in the newspaper, on Kijiji, Craigslist. And it's really on your own comfort level. I mean, you may have a neighbor that you have built a relationship with and are really comfortable leaving your child there. But again, this is something that you want to look into, especially if you have young children. And securing a spot is also really important, because in some of our daycare centers, there are wait lists, especially for 0 to 2. If your child is under the age of 2, there are different ministry guidelines as to how many number of staff per child is required in a setting. So, that is somewhere where, you will have to do a little bit of research, but you want to get your child's name on the wait list if that is something that you're going to be needing when you get here. Number 8, let's talk about the two main languages you're going to find when you come to Toronto or Canada in general. We have English and French. In Toronto, primarily, it's English speaking. There are some French-speaking Canadians here. There are companies that may even request that you speak both languages when hiring, and they will note that in their hiring process. But we are English speaking in Toronto. However, when you're moving here, and if you're looking at, where do they speak French? In Quebec. So that is a province in Canada, and Montreal, a huge French-speaking area in Quebec. So just make note of the language, and if you don't know the language and you want to learn, there are great French classes here in Toronto that you can take. It's nice to have a second language. Sometimes it opens up other job opportunities. So you can definitely start learning the second language like French where you are and have a head start. Or when you get here, you can actually take classes in our community colleges, and there's even some private programs and tutors that you can hire. Number 9, might surprise you actually. We have what's called transformer homes, and these are located in Toronto, not in the neighborhoods, the other neighborhoods in the Greater Toronto area, but right in Toronto. These are homes that are used as transformer homes. They are in communities. They look like, a typical home. However, these are homes that are not occupied by people. Now, they have actually passed a law that due to safety, they're demolishing a lot of these homes, but there are some still standing. So, if you're buying in Toronto and you see a home that isn't occupied, or you notice that really nobody goes there, it may be that you're living next to a transformer home. And if you're buying in those areas and you see one, you may want to just look into when is it being demolished, or if it's on the plans of being demolished, or is it going to stay there for a while. It's just something to note. It is something very unique to Toronto. It is not in the neighborhoods of the GTA. So if you're looking at Mississauga, Brampton, Vaughan, in the other outlying areas, you don't find them there, but they're called transformer homes. And lastly, number 10. Now, you may have heard that Canadians are the nicest people on the planet. I'm about to tell you that we absolutely are. We love helping our neighbors. We are courteous and kind. We love to say please and thank you. And sometimes it's to a fault. And what you'll find is that it's a place where you will feel comfortable right away. People love to welcome others. We're a diverse group of people that live here. So, you will really feel comfortable as soon as you get here. Now, of course, like any country or any city that you go to, you may run into people that may be rude or, sometimes not as nice. But overall speaking, in terms of all of Toronto or all of Canada, we are really nice people. So when you get here, that's one of the first things you're going to notice is people are really ready and willing to help. So if you're thinking about relocating or moving to the Toronto area, and you want to start looking at homes, or you want to look at the different neighborhoods, you got to give me a call. Send me a text, shoot me an email. You can even send a pigeon carrier. However you want to get a hold of me, I've got your back when you're moving into the Greater Toronto area. Until the next video, I'll catch you later.